If you ask me, should you put a little more amount and go to the Himalayan, I really... What's up YouTube, welcome back to another video on this channel, and today we have the Royal Enfield Scram 411. It's a brand new motorcycle and I'm really happy to get this motorcycle in the first days of the release itself. So yes, third day with the motorcycle, and tomorrow I have to give this motorcycle back. Actually, I was told that I can keep the motorcycle for 4 days, and after that if I need it for 1 or 2 weeks more, I'll be getting this after 1 month. So I thought I'll make my detailed review when I get the motorcycle like that. But honestly, I have to say that I really don't need this motorcycle anymore. This actually feels like a familiar motorcycle. So you might be knowing that Royal Enfield actually made this motorcycle like a scrambler building out of the Royal Enfield Himalayan. So that's why when I just got onto this motorcycle, it feels home. Pretty much very easy to ride, and it's almost like meeting a friend after a long time. So I was getting a connection with the motorcycle pretty quickly. So let's get into the details of the motorcycle. So as I mentioned, this almost feels like a modified Himalayan. So scramblers are basically when you modify a motorcycle to the off-road use, basically when you want to go for high-speed off-roads and all, and that's what Royal Enfield has done. So if you ask me if it really looks like a scrambler, no, but they have done a good job. The basic differences are, you might be knowing that by now if you have seen many other reviews, the suspension travel, the front suspension travel has been reduced by 10 mm, and the 21-inch wheel of the Himalayan has been replaced by a 19-inch wheel. But how does it matter for the Royal Enfield Scrambler? The front suspension travel has been reduced and the tire is also less. So what I was able to feel is that I'm getting more control on the motorcycle when compared to the Himalayan. And yes, there is a 5 kg reduction. So totally it is a more fun to ride motorcycle, more agile than Himalayan. In a nutshell, actually Royal Enfield tried to make the Himalayan more beginner friendly or the Himalayan more city friendly. So before we get into each and everything of this motorcycle, let's go over the looks. So front section, if you ask me, it looks a bit different. It is not a proper scrambler design, but it's kind of an okay. But the paint scheme is the one which is actually really attractive. Last week I was having the SD Scrambler, and this week I'm having the Himalayan Scrambler. So probably by now you might have seen the SD review from this channel. So looking from that angle, this doesn't really look like a scrambler, but it's actually an attention grabber. So whenever I stop the motorcycle at signal and all, people are actually coming to me and asking like, which motorcycle is this and all. So without any doubt, 100%, this motorcycle is an attention grabber in terms of looks. So previously Himalayan used to have a side panel here which is actually heavy. I've always thought why to have those kind of alloys there which adds unnecessary weight. So that has been taken off, and the seat has been modified. Previously in the Himalayan we get split seats, and now we get a single seat. Honestly, this is not the scrambler type of a seat, but kind of okay, it's comfortable only. And the very famous 411 engine of the Himalayan, and that actually works very nice for off-roading. Low end torque and everything is really nice. Same exhaust setup. And coming on to the tail section, we don't really have any major differences from that angle as well. Honestly, if you ask me, if I have to modify the scrambler out of the Himalayan, I would have done a complete tail tidy. I would have chopped it off from here itself, but still this looks good. So that's all you see when you look around this motorcycle. Now let me just get on to the motorcycle. So as I mentioned, the motorcycle has lost 10 mm on the suspension. That means the seat height is not that much when compared to the Himalayan. So again, a lower seat height motorcycle, almost planted foot on both sides. Literally no difference from sitting on a Himalayan. So the handlebar is a little wide and it gives a very nice feel of riding. Surprisingly, it feels much agile and it feels a little lighter as well. So switches on the handlebar. Here we have the pass switch, high beam and the low beam, indicators and horn, and on the right side we have the kill switch, caution lamp and the ignition. That's all. And this dial actually came from the Meteor. It looks good as well. So altogether it packs in minimal information. So this one is the speedometer, and we have the fuel meter, the time, the gear position indicator, and if I press the I button here, it goes to 2 trip meters and an odometer. That's all. So there is a side stand sensor, but there is no side stand indication. Unfortunately, there is no tachometer in that. And we have the tripometer here where you can connect your mobile phone and get the directions there. You can have the navigation with this thing. So that's all, pretty basic things. So let's ride and talk. That's the fun, ample amount of torque when you have to do wheel spins. This motorcycle actually gets a 19-inch wheel when compared to the 21-inch wheel on the Himalayan. If you ask me if I miss that, I don't really miss that in particular. But since I have ridden the Himalayan before with a bigger suspension and a bigger tire, I feel the Himalayan will have a slight upper hand. Otherwise, this is almost like 95% of the Himalayan in terms of ride feel. So let's talk about the engine if you don't know the Himalayan engine. So this is a long stroke engine. You have ample amount of torque in the bottom end. That actually really helps you out in doing off-roads. Be it slow off-roading or fast off-roading, this engine will help you out in a really good manner. Basically, if you are riding inside city, the engine will help you to cut through traffic. It's really peppy. The throttling is good, the fueling is good. And when it comes to highways, the sweet spot on the motorcycle is like 80 km per hour. I was able to do a top of 125 km per hour, that's all. I was able to do 100 in no time, and it actually reached to 120. Then I thought this motorcycle will be having some more juice to push it to 140, but unfortunately it just clipped at 125 itself. Let me just pull it hard. Yeah, that's what I said. It reaches 100 pretty quickly, and from there it climbs to 120, and after that it's kind of clipped. So we have a minor amount of buzz on the seat when we really ring it hard, but it's not to a level where it is bothering the rider, so no problem. So keeping apart the engine, let's look at the other things. The new suspension. So this comes with the new suspension. The suspension which is actually 10 mm less travel than the older suspension of the Himalayan. So riding it through off-roads or riding it through city traffic, I feel this is okay. Not at all a really big problem. It's doing its job really nice. So as I mentioned, the difference between this suspension and the Himalayan suspension is, since the travel has gone less, the rider actually tend to give a little more lean angle to the handlebar when actually we stand. So that actually gives a little more control to the rider. And when it comes to the brakes, this is the same braking setup that we have seen on the Himalayan. So my personal feel, it's kind of an okay brakes. But the thing is, the brake feel is a little spongy. It takes some time to get the grip. And on this kind of a motorcycle, you have to use the rear brake as well, not like the sports bikes or the street bike. So you do a like 60-40 braking and you will be able to control the motorcycle. When it comes to the ergonomics, it's again nice. Like when we are sitting and riding, the hands are actually resting on the handlebar. It has a wide handlebar and we get a good confidence over the handlebar. And the foot peg is slightly forward set, so that's also fine. So when we are standing and riding, you try to stand upright, like 90 degree to the ground. Can you see that? The portion where the Scram 411 has been written is touching my calf area. So that is actually something new which is compared to the Himalayan. So what I found is that I think since the suspension has gone low, that part has came a little forward and started touching the calf. But no problem. When you're doing off-roads, you don't get to feel that because you will be putting a little bit of lean angle to the handlebar. This is how you ride. You'll be having your chin area over the handlebar, so that's how you ride on off-roads, and it's much comfortable. I'm not facing that that portion is coming and touching the leg. And when it comes to the tires, this is the same MRF tires that we have seen again in the Himalayan. I think I have a lot of references to Himalayan today. Yes, of course, this is derived from that, that's why. So the tire is actually performing okayish on road, and it's kind of performing very well in off-roads. So I'm pretty happy with it, and I'm honestly not missing the 21-inch so much on this motorcycle. It's like negligible difference for a person like me. Probably a hardcore off-roader might be missing that. Otherwise, for an beginner rider or an intermediate rider, this is kind of an okay situation. And when it comes to the right side, actually the pillion seats is also comfortable. The pillion will be able to sit comfortably and grab onto the grab rails. So no issues for the pillion rider as well. So when it comes to the clutch is actually onto a moderate side, neither too soft, not too hard. That sits something in the middle. The gearbox is actually a typical RE gearbox. It's neither too clunky, not crisp. You'll get a feel that you're shifting the gears, but no false neutrals or no other problems on the motorcycle, that's all. So to talk about the ownership aspects of this motorcycle is actually priced at 2,70,000 on road. So I honestly feel the ex-showroom price would have been reduced a little more, because the ex-showroom price of this motorcycle is like 2,05,000. If it was like under 2 lakh, it would have made a huge difference because of the tax slabs. So I honestly feel the price could have been a little more competitive, because I think this is around 10 to 15,000 difference from the Himalayan. So when it comes to service and all, this motorcycle actually goes for service once in 10,000 kilometers, and an average service will cost you something like 2,000 to 3,000 rupees. And also you can expect the same mileage of Himalayan for this motorcycle, which is like 30 to 35 on highways. We cannot actually claim any other mileage for off-roads or inside city, because it purely depends on how you handle the throttle. So a decent mileage of 30 to 35 km per liter. If you ask me, should you put a little more amount and go to the Himalayan? I really cannot say that. Honestly, I like motorcycles which weighs lesser and which is more agile. So compared to Himalayan, this motorcycle is like that. So 15,000 difference, you actually gain suspension travel and bigger wheels. Instead, you are gaining weight, and the control is a little better on this one. So it's a call for you. So if you want to start off-roading, this motorcycle is a really good pick. So coming on to the off-roads, brilliant motorcycle. I was able to do off-roads really nice. Only one thing is like, this motorcycle first of all doesn't come with any riding modes. I shouldn't ask for any riding modes on this motorcycle. Basically, I was riding the EST Scrambler last week. That's why I made a point that riding modes. But I would like to see a switchable ABS on this motorcycle, because since this goes to off-roads, actually it is very nice to turn off the ABS, but you know the drill. You can take off the fuse anytime and do off-roadings, but that is a little cumbersome if you have to do all the time. So an ABS switch would have been a very welcoming feature on this one. Hopefully Royal Enfield will bring that in the next version of the Scrambler. And when it comes to the highway, this one is actually good for highway as well. As I mentioned, 80 to 90 is a sweet spot on this motorcycle. Absolutely no vibration, very comfortable to ride, and you can even push it to 120 and all. Not a big deal. So altogether, let's see whether this motorcycle will fit on to your requirement. So if you ask me, if you're someone who is just starting on a motorcycle, who wanted to do off-roads, or if you're a person who are a little afraid of Himalayan because of the height and the weight, and you wanted to start exploring places and start exploring off-roads, then this motorcycle will perfectly fit your usage. And that's not the only one thing. You can use this motorcycle inside city much quickly than a Himalayan. It's much agile. You'll be liking it, and it does good off-roading as well, and it is kind of okay on the highways. So altogether, a good and positive feel about the motorcycle. And if you ask me if I found any negatives with the motorcycle, so somewhere I feel that there are some exposed wires over here, and the welding is not that proper. I feel the Royal Enfield should take those things a little more serious, because the kind of welding that it has been done on this motorcycle is not up to the mark like what Royal Enfield used to do. But hopefully, yeah, these things will get fixed in the next version of the Scrambler. And if I had to buy this motorcycle, will I be doing any modifications on this? So honestly, I don't, because if I'm buying a Himalayan, I'll be doing these modifications to buy this motorcycle. I'm not missing that taller windscreen on the Himalayan. First of all, I don't really take Himalayan for highway rides. I'll be probably using these kind of motorcycles for off-roads. So if I buy this motorcycle, possibly I'll do a tail tidy. I'll just shave off some more weight. And yeah, of course, I might be interested in putting a proper scrambler seat, and of course I'll be going for an switchable ABS switch, because I don't want to take off the seat all the time and pull off the ABS fuse and all. So that's my personal feel on this motorcycle. So I know it's a very quick video, only 4 days with the motorcycle, but still I feel like home on this motorcycle. I'm really happy with it. I don't know whether I have to call this motorcycle a Scrambler, because we have a couple of Scrambler motorcycles now. So I'll call this motorcycle as a mini Himalayan, where it can do almost 90% of the things what Himalayan can do, and at some places like city riding, this is actually more than a Himalayan. So that's my personal feel on the new Royal Enfield Scrambler 411. I hope this video is helpful for you. If you have any doubts on this motorcycle, do let me know in the comment section. I'll be more than happy to help you out. So as always, show some love in the form of likes and comments. See you in the next video. Until then, bye bye.